Right, so we are back after. I'm going to say it's a record intro, a record length intro. This is what happens when one of us goes away for a week. As we were saying, there's just too much to say. It's like a half of it's actually a catch up between us, and half of it is the episode. But yeah, as you've probably already seen today, we're doing another one of our 10-year reviews, 10-year anniversary editions, obviously of Watch the Throne. There's been a lot of anniversaries, and we had a sit down a few weeks ago, and we're like, what's the priority? Like, what can we not miss talking about? And I feel like this is pretty high up there. But yeah, obviously Watch the Throne was released in 2011. I'm gonna say at the time, Kanye is definitely on the streak of his life. Jay-Z maybe not so much. The last like critically acclaimed album he had released was 4 years prior, right? American Gangster. So
was that 4 years?
It was 2007. Yeah.
Oh shit! It was. Fucking
yeah,
hell.
and then obviously
Okay,
Blueprint 3 came out 2009.
Yeah. Damn. Okay.
And then 2011 is actually supposed to be it was a 5-track EP that they had talked about in 2010. And then obviously turns out to be an album, and then a deluxe album. We will get into that. That comes out. But yeah, I guess it's like there's been a lot of chatter, so we will kind of take some questions in today, and kind of discuss those as part of the general discussion at the end. But in terms of like general impression on the album, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So again, we're not gonna introduce Jay-Z and Sean Carter, like Sean Carter and Kanye West. Like, if you do that, then you know what it is? You just stumbled upon a rabbit hole on YouTube, whatever the fuck, and you need to get out. Like, you just need to get out, find a way out. It's too late. It's probably like 4 a.m. Go to bed. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But yeah, so obviously Watch the Throne came out August 8th, 2011, as Sean mentioned. Obviously, this is like fucking, what's that thing in Yu-Gi-Oh? Oh my gosh, it's like, oh my gosh, why is it called Exodia? It's fucking Exodia forming. There we go. Yep. I wasn't going to lose it that time. Anyway, so it's like,
pieces.
Yeah, it's like fucking Exodia forming, pretty much. Like, you've got fucking Kanye West, who's literally hot off the heels of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Some may even argue one of the best albums hip-hop has ever seen. Cool. And then you obviously got Jay-Z. He's his second leg of his career.
He's still the man, though.
He's still the man. Anyway, it's Jay-Z. People love Jay-Z. He's still the guy. He's still got a lot to pull. Like, his return. I think obviously after Kingdom Come, he was like, did he really need to come back? And obviously American Gangster came back, and he's like, actually Jay-Z can still rap. And then people did obviously love Blueprint 3. Obviously, fucking Empire State of Mind is one of the biggest songs of 2009. So
one of his biggest songs.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So these guys are still at full power, right? And to me, here's how I see it, right? Here's how I see it. It's like Kanye is one of those guys who was shit at ball, and then during the summer holidays, he works really hard on it. In other words, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And obviously now everyone wants to pick him for the team. That's just like, now it's like, yeah, come for our team. Like, instead of him getting picked last. Because the fact that Jay-Z and Kanye West, prior to this, didn't even work that much together, considering Kanye's been working under Jay-Z for probably more than a decade at this point, probably like 12 years plus, because he's working with him in the 90s, and Jay-Z always gave him the short stick. Like, he had that one verse on College Dropout.
Yeah, little.
Do you know what I mean? Apart from that, he was on none of the other albums.
4 albums. 4 studio albums.
He was on any of the shit. Do you know what I mean? Just one verse after 4 albums. This guy's meant to be like, he was the J. Cole of Rockefeller, do you know what I mean? Before Rock Nation was a thing.
Always talks about how he's his little brother, his little protege. But he's on one song with 4 albums. But
literally, like, never nowhere to be seen, right? So, okay, cool. So, also, I think My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy happens. Obviously, Jay-Z's on a couple of the songs. That album obviously does insane, right? Like, fucking crazy. Pretty much an instant classic for most people.
Yeah. And
I think Jay's like, okay, all right then. Like, okay, all right, let's do this. Because I'm pretty sure Kanye did not ask for a joint EP from Jay in 2010. He probably asked him a lot earlier than this. But he's probably like, yeah, you know what, it's time. Like, you know what, you got the most pull. Like, out of the two, Kanye probably has more pull out of them two.
He was the hottest artist at that point.
Yeah, probably hottest.
The biggest draw, probably.
Yeah, like him and Drake. Do you know what I mean? This is Drake and his like debut, right? Like, Think Me Later came out like a couple months prior, like June 15th. Yeah, so yeah, so this is a good time for them. Like, I remember when this actually, you know what's it was funny. I actually don't remember when this came out. So back in the days where music could be free, if you know what I'm saying. I was just on my home computer, and I think obviously we all shared it, right? And someone had this on. I was like, oh, this, because you know sometimes when you get free music, some people just kind of form compilations of songs and stuff like that, or like, you know, they might put a beat. So I didn't even know this was happening. I didn't even know it was like a thing. And then so I was like, oh wait, this is a real album. Like Jay-Z and Kanye West made an album. I was like, all right then. And obviously back then, I wasn't listening to too much music. Like, given how much things have changed, just for a little tease, I'll give you guys like a insight to the music I was listening to in my mid-teens. So, Nostalgia Ultra by Frank Ocean, Thank Me Later, of course, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, of course, Teflon Don by Rick Ross, Recovery by Eminem, and No Mercy by T.I. That was my music taste.
I get it.
That was my music taste. So I wasn't listening to a lot of music. So when I had an album, I was stuck with it for a while. Obviously, like the good old days. So I remember hearing this, and I was like, damn, this is amazing. Like, fucking hell, this is bloody amazing, mate. And it was all I listened to all summer. So when I was like playing like computer games on the computer, I'll just have this on while I'm playing games the whole time. Like just constantly. So that's kind of how I kind of got into it. And obviously then I saw the music video for Otis and all that, and I realized, oh, this is actually, because obviously back then, like, the internet wasn't really a thing, so I wasn't looking like, oh, these two announced it and it's dropping this day. You just kind of, when it came, it was like, oh, if I saw it on TV, then it's like, oh, that was it, really. What about you?
I find it so hard to picture these, because obviously I've been, like yourself, like the last 3-4 years, I've been listening to a hell of a lot of music. But then I'm like, okay, this was 10 years ago. I wasn't really listening to music 10 years ago. Yeah, I feel like I was there when it came out, because I'm like, yeah, I remember. Yeah. But I don't think I was. I don't think I listened to it when it came out straight away. It was probably a couple years later, like maybe sixth form. Like,
oh, damn.
Maybe the age of like 16, 17.
Oh, okay, it's like a year too late. Okay, cool. I was like, I was like a couple months off, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, no. I wasn't listening to music like that at that point. So yeah, and then obviously when I heard it, formed opinions. I mean, like, yeah, it's a good. We'll get into it.
Were you a big fan?
When I first listened to it, yeah, massive fan. I was like, wow, what is this? Yeah. This is crazy. It is, yeah. I mean, such as like a lot of albums when you kind of start out listening. But yeah, it felt like a big cultural moment, like thinking back to listening to it and being like, damn, the Master and Apprentice type deal, despite Kanye obviously being kind of at the top of his, like at his peak at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. I was going to say, do you feel like, because given what you said, right, because the last duo I can think where it's like, holy shit. And even then, it was nowhere near to this scale. This feels like Black Star on like all the steroids, all the drugs. Do you know what I mean? do you get that vibe? Do you feel like this had to happen at some point given their relationship?
I don't think so. I don't think it had to happen. I think people wanted it. That's a different thing. Again, like, was it necessary? We'll never know. But it was definitely like a financially motivated, and I guess looking at it from like Jay-Z's perspective, it made sense, right? Like Blueprint 3 wasn't the biggest success. It wasn't the most critically acclaimed, and I think getting back to like Kanye produced beats and just having like a braggadocio album. I know there are songs that are much meatier and we'll get into that, but like having that kind of album to kind of remind people, hey, I know American Gangster was 4 years ago, but like I'm still the guy. So it made sense in that way.
Fair. Yeah. No, I get you. I kind of I think it kind of had to happen, just given their relationship. Like, I feel like because it was like Big Brother and he's kind of come up. And I feel like Kanye just kept knocking on that door where you had to notice him. Like he was going to be the best rapper on the planet, whether you liked it or not. And I think once it got to that point, and obviously Jay-Z is a very competitive man. Like I know people know it, but Jay-Z, when it comes to music, he's kind of like Drake. Like you can tell this guy loves music. He listens to a lot of music. You can tell with the artists he kind of keeps up to date with. So I feel like him, like, obviously, outside of his other endeavors, he is a true competitor at heart when it comes to rap. So I think he's seeing Kanye just going crazy, right? And it's like, well, I'm Jay-Z. Like, I'm Jay-Z.
I know,
like,
he like had to step back in the ring and be like, just to remind you guys.
yeah, do you know what I mean? So I feel like this was their best way to compete instead of going at it against over like 2 albums. Obviously, they're on the same record label. That doesn't make any sense. Because okay, cool. Like, we're the best, right? So let's show it. Let's show everyone there's the 2 best rappers in the world are on the same record label, and we're gonna put our forces together and literally just dominate everyone else in the game. And in a sense, they did that. So I think that's why I feel like it was necessary. Because I feel like if you let Kanye keep going with that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy shit, he's head honcho. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Jay-Z can't have that. So you know what I mean? Same with like J. Cole and Jid. Like, I think if you let Jid just keep going, he's gonna take your spot. So I see it in that way. But you know, before we get into the songs, right? Because you know we're blue born in it a little bit. But we're gonna get there. How do you feel like this album has aged over time? Obviously, it's been 10 years, right? It's a long fucking time. And obviously, even though you heard it, let's say when you was in college, that's still like 7 years. Yeah, 8, 9 years even. So yeah, how do you feel like it's aged since then?
I feel like the age and the classic thing had kind of come into time, because I know a lot of people that say it's aged well are just like, it's a classic, and it can't be a classic if it hasn't aged well, right? So for me, it hasn't aged the best, and I say that, and I have to like use comparisons, right? Because when I look at a lot of Kanye's albums, they've aged well. Like, I can't think of any of his first 4 or 5 albums that I'm not gonna like rinse. I can't rinse for a whole weekend and just listen to it back to front and skip nothing. Whereas I'm playing this back and there are songs I'm skipping. So in that sense, it hasn't aged incredibly well. There are obviously those big songs, right? Like No Church in the Wild, Otis, those songs that you play it and instantly it's like kind of going down memory lane, and you're not going to skip those. They're kind of timeless songs. They are timeless songs. But as an album, there are too many misses, I think, for it to be something that just like ages incredibly well. Because we're looking at it as like a body work, not just a couple of like singles or standout tracks. And also, I guess I look at it from a sense of like the impact it had on the music landscape, the kind of like cultural relevance. Like at the time, it made a lot of sense, but like we're looking the next couple of years, like what necessarily did it kind of influence? I don't know. There might be someone that knows a lot more than me about that, but I don't really see it. There are some real highs for sure, but I don't think it's aged the best.
Okay. Let me just clarify something, because I said something on Twitter. I think it was like last week or last weekend, when I said something like it's aged like bread, right? So here's what I mean by that. I still stick to that sentiment. When I say the album's aged like bread, it doesn't mean that drink went down the wrong hole. But it doesn't mean that I think, oh, the songs were good when I was like 15 and now at the 10th age of 25, the songs are just absolutely shite. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, it's in a couple ways. So I feel like the sound that they were on when this dropped was completely like just not aware of the times it was in. Like the Drake era is in full motion at this time. So the sound they're on feels like late 2000s. Whereas we're already in the, in the 10s. Drake, Fate Me Later's come out, like the production's changed completely. Like this, as I'm saying, if this came out in 2007, 2008, it would be way more acclaimed than it was, because people were doing it. People were kind of go see the EDM scene was popping, and that kind of makes sense for this. Do you know what I mean? Even for example, the Roots Undone, they played with a bit of that type of production, so it's not like it was crazy to do that. People were trying that out, but things were slowed down a shit ton by the time Fate Me Later dropped. By the time sampling was way more of a thing, like Friday Night Lights, the mixtape was coming out, J. Cole's coming out with Sideline Story a few months later. So it just felt like, damn, like where you guys even get this from? Like you guys are just like sticking out like a sore thumb, be like the old guys at the party in a sense. That's what I mean by its age worse, because if you look at the sound over the last decade, it doesn't sound like this. And I don't mean that in a good way, like nothing sounds like this. It's just like, no, like they're in the wrong decade. And this is the problem, right? There's the mixtape era and it kind of defined a new decade. So some people really got missed around that like 2009, 2011 line. You can really tell, like, because you got songs that are on the complete right side of it, right? Like, again, like a So Far Gone. You got others that are like really, really on the wrong side. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think this is one of them. Or even Magna Carta, even later on, where Jay-Z still hasn't figured it out. Like, we're way past that now. Like, we're way, way past that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think...
I'm going to ask you, though, about that. What makes it... Because when we're talking about, like, soundscape and production and that kind of stuff, like, why do you say this kind of, like, missed the boat where My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy didn't? Because there are a lot of, like... You can tell he's still in that kind of, like, production bag. I know the sound's different, but it's still that era. Why do you think it's different?
Again, it's right on the line. Like, if there was a line in terms of like defining music, this is it, right? 2010, 2011. It's mainly defined by Drake. I'm not gonna lie. Like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is...
It's like a one-off event.
It's not... Again, he didn't really go back to that. And it's way more rooted in... fundamental hip hop than this is. Do you know what I mean? And it's not as braggadocious as this. Not by a country mile. And that's what I'm saying. So it's like, even in this thing, if you want to talk about like the 2000s, you call it the Blink era, right?
Yeah.
This feels perfect for that. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and 808s and Heartbreak is transitioning this to a whole different era. Like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it's big production, but it's not braggadocious rap at all. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's where it missed it. It's not even the production fully, but it's the production and the subject matter. It's both of those things where it's like, I wish you came out a couple of years earlier. But that's the thing. So when I say it's ASAP Bread, doesn't mean I hate it. Doesn't mean I hate it, but it's like, I look back and I'm actually, I had an old friend of mine, right? Here's the analogy. I had an old friend of mine. And he always said, man, like,
always these old friends, never names, but go on.
Old friend. And when we used to go out to clubs and stuff like that, he always used to say to like the guys, like, don't commit to a girl whilst the lights is off, and vice versa, don't commit to a guy when the lights is off, because obviously the whole thing is, right, when the lights come on and you can see people for who they really are, you might be like, actually don't like really like what I see, right? So I think that's the same with Watch the Throne. I feel like, because obviously you're young, you don't know all the music that's out there, you haven't even listened to a lot of music yourself, and then you get to maybe even 18, 19, you listen to way more, the lights that come on, you're like, actually, damn, I look back at this. This is definitely not what I thought it was. That's kind of how I treat this album, to be honest. Yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
That's fair. So yeah, should we kind of get into it?
Some of the songs. What's your, I mean, obviously you lot sent over some questions, topics. I think we should do that more often, actually. I think it was quite fun. So so we've got some of your questions that you sent. We had like a tweet where people were able to send in stuff. So we'll kind of weave those in between talk on the album. We'll see how it dictates our flow, because you know how we do. We just kind of start anywhere and then we take it from there. But let's kind of start. I'll start off with us, right? Because obviously we matter the most, don't we? What song do you want to talk about first and foremost?
Not just because it's the first song, but I want to go with No Church in the Wild to start with.
Okay, cool.
To start on a positive note.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed reviews about like how the album starts, in terms of like, I want to be like really surprised and gripped. And I was like, I was. Like, there are so many there are so many bars on this first song. Like, in terms of quotables, I don't know if there's a song that has as many as this. Like,
really? Okay, cool. Sorry, let me not do that.
For me, yeah. But yeah, it's a big opening statement. I think it's one of my favorite beats on the album. There's like obviously Frank Ocean. I mean, let's call this a Frank, Jay-Z and Kanye album, which it is, if we're honest.
Fair enough. That's not.
Yeah, Frank's like haunting voices all over this one. And yeah, that opening bar from Jay-Z where it's like, tears on the mausoleum floor, blood stains the Colosseum door, lies on the lips of a priest. Like, they're just, it's crazy. It's like, in terms of like epic beginnings, like there's images of like Greek mythology, but like blood, there's like damn, what the hell is going on here? There's like, it feels epic. That's the word, right? So yeah, I'm a big fan of this song. 88 Keys production on it. Like I think the Frank Ocean kind of the like hook is the real heartbeat of the song. But in the same sense, there are a lot of great bars from Jay-Z.
Yeah, or like Kanye.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's alright. Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, he does very well in this too. I just didn't want to spend too long quoting, but it's like I know this would be one of people's favourite lines where he's like, 2 tattoos, one reads no apologies, the other said love is cursed by monogamy. That's something that the preacher don't preach, something that the teacher can't teach.
I think it's true.
There you go.
I mean, yeah, speaking of Frank Ocean, I feel like this album is such a big moment for Frank Ocean. Like, obviously, Odd Future's a thing. You get that. Nostalgia Ultra is a thing. I don't know.
Yeah. It hadn't come out at the point of this, had it?
No, it came out the year before.
Same year. No.
It came out February. Yeah, it came out February.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out February. And obviously,
so it just come out then.
Everyone loved that, right? But yeah, so obviously, like, Odd Future's a thing, Frank Ocean is a thing, but it's not Frank Ocean, do you know what I mean? It's not blonded. He ain't blonded yet. So it's like, I think when he came on this, right, like, and also you can tell, like, Jay-Z I said this before, you can tell
he loves him.
He loves him.
He's all over Magna Carta as well, isn't he?
Yeah, literally, like, he loves him. He's been on every album since. But, yeah, so, obviously he's on this, and obviously, Channel Orange comes out a year later, like probably like half a year later, obviously like February or something like that, and obviously he takes off. But for him, it's like, damn, like I ain't even got an album yet. I'm a fucking Odd Future guy. I'm with these weird guys that everyone thinks they're weird, like fucking Tyler and L Sweatshirt. And he just get plucked out, and he's right in the middle of 2 of the biggest rappers he's ever seen in his life. Like that is crazy on 2 songs. So obviously, I think he kills it. Like I think he does really well on this one. Like I think the intro is epic. I think it's the consistent, like, I think it's like a drum. I assume it's a drum. It's
that guitar riff as well. That
and it's just and then like the slow progression, and then it slows down, and it goes and and it builds up and it slows down. It's like, oh, you're never really comfortable throughout the whole song. Like I feel like that's what makes it epic. Like you said, it's kind of like setting the scene of something grand, big, like philosophical. You know, it's pious because God loves pious. Like all these things. Like it's kind of thinking, like, you know. Are there what's religion to someone who's kind of achieved all these things? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, with 2 of these guys, like they've probably seen it all. You know, let's be serious. So it's like, okay, like, what, you know, it's kind of hard to kind of be a believer when it's like we're on the throne. Do you know what I mean? So no, good intro for sure. Big fan of it.
Another quote before we move on. Cocaine seats, all white like I got the whole thing bleached. Drug dealer chic. I'm wondering if a thug's prayers reach. He doesn't hold on. I know we're saying like Jay-Z isn't at his peak here, but he hasn't forgotten how to rap.
I mean, the Jay-Z show happens on a lot of albums he touches. I think this is definitely one of them. I'll say that for sure. Before we get into the first question, I'll touch on the song that I want to talk about. So let's just get out of the way, right? Let's just straight clean cut. Let's not even waste time on this, right? Niggas in Paris, right? The 2 lads in the capital of France, you know, if you don't want to use those words. But like, yeah, niggas in Paris, right? There's no way you're human on this earth you don't know this song in some capacity. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. So obviously when this song came out, to me it was like, oh my gosh, like this song is the best song I've ever heard. Like this song's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. Like this just shows how big these guys are at the time. I still remember to this day, I'm pretty sure it's still on YouTube. There's a time where they're both in Paris doing this song, and I've watched the whole video. Don't ask me why. And they're in Paris and they play this song 11 times in a row. 11 times in a row. And I'm not saying there might be a lot of drugs needed to do that. I'm not gonna lie. You might need a bit of powder to do that or to sit through that, but they did it. And people loved it at the time. And this is how big this song was. People were going crazy over this one. So because of how big it is, and even when we was at uni, remember early on in like my first couple of years, like this song came on all the time and I would love it. Like, yeah, you know, you're drinking something, like, oh my gosh, the ball's so hard, motherfuckers want to find me, like, oh my gosh, like you love it. I say that to say, right, it's very, because of that, I find it very hard. I don't think I'm even going to do it right now. I find it very hard to objectively look at this song because it's like what it means to the world is so insane, right? So I don't even know what I think about the song. Do I love it? Do I hate it? Because also part of me is like, I actually can't stand to listen to it outside of the club because it's been so played, right, in my mind and in the world. And part of me is like, is it actually a bad song? Like, if I never heard it, if this came out in 2021, would I listen to it? Maybe, probably would. So it's like, I'm very conflicted on that front. What do you think?
I agree. It's definitely, in terms of like songs from this album, it's the one that's taken on a life of its own.
Literally.
It's hard to objectively look at it. Like the beats, obviously, it's become legendary. Like that line right at the end, the kind of skip bit just sums up almost the album as a whole. Like who cares what it means? It's provocative. Like kind of sums up the album. Like there's not a clear message or direction other than here are two guys talking about opulence.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just I think in the time it was like a big cultural moment as one of the songs, because it was like these two guys just being unashamedly themselves and just bawling.
Yeah, literally. Like, I think you said most of this album, right? Like, it just feels like it's all about black excellence, black opulence. You know what I mean? Like, why are they doing this? Because they can and they're rich and all of that. And for me, it's like, I feel like if you're a big fan of Jay-Z and Kanye West as people, you're gonna love this album. And I think that's where the lines are drawn in this. If you don't care for who they are as a people, then you might not like this as much as someone who does. But I think just to see like, oh my gosh, my favorite rapper from the 90s and favorite rapper from the 2000s are coming together, like, I enjoy that moment. So it's like, sometimes I feel like, is this album a moment, or is it actually like something that people like, or is it just a moment? Like, what the fuck is it? And I don't know the answer sometimes. I'm like, because obviously all the songs are shit, but it's like, yeah, like if it wasn't like, if some of these songs like Niggas in Paris didn't get so catchy, would it touch people the same way? Like if it wasn't Jay-Z and Kanye West, let's say it was like two rappers who were big but not the biggest, what would it do? And I find these questions are ones that I don't have answers for, but
and I find that it's interesting, isn't it? Because like that's why we've seen it so many times. Like that's why it's so hard to like objectively review these type of albums, or that now we're trying to. People will always take it the wrong way because they're way too invested in it, and because and because they're like, it's Kanye West, it's Jay-Z, I love them both, I will love this album. Yes. Like, it doesn't, just because it made sense and just because the pairing makes sense doesn't mean the album and the content makes sense as well. And you have to try and step away, and that's what you have to do when you listen to it. And I know there's Dead End Hip Hop called this album. I don't know if you've seen the review.
I think I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah. They were like, one of the guys called it an ill-fitting white Gucci shirt. And
I remember
which I think is so funny. Yeah. He was like, it's a money grab. So he's like, it's a white shirt that you just everybody's just gonna wear it because it's Gucci on it. But actually, when you have a look at it, you're like, no, it doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah. That's
it's like, just because they did it, just because they're two goats, doesn't necessarily mean it's a classic or it's gonna be a brilliant album. And I think that's where people struggle to critique these types of albums.
No, for sure. I mean,
especially when you got two, not just one. You've like maximized it. Yeah.
I mean, same can be said for that other joint. I mean, do you know why I would say this is a classic? And I actually have no qualms. I mean, we spoke about in episode 4. I wouldn't call it a classic, but the reason why I would never argue with someone if they call it a classic, the cultural impact is fucking out of this world, right? Like you can't really. Not many get as high as this one. And 2, it did influence a lot of albums. Like, all this whole joint album thing. Oh, they're gonna... Like, people didn't... If joint albums happened, it was cool, but no one ever asked for it, right? Ever since this, people are like, oh, are these two guys gonna do a joint album? Or so that never was a
J.
thing.
Cole, Blue Balls.
Do you know what I mean?
5 years, everyone's talking about it. Yeah.
And it's because of this, people are asking that. Because now it's like, oh, we've seen the 2 biggest rappers in hip-hop do it. So when the next 2 come, are they gonna do it as well? Do you know what I mean? And obviously, What a Time to Be Alive happened. It's like... They're gonna do it. Oh, is Drake and Lil Wayne gonna do one? Like, people have always teased that because of stuff like that. So I think it maxes out on a cultural impact, like in a big way. And I think that's probably why people call it a classic. For me,
I still don't know if
like the songs have to hold up. I get it. I get why you wouldn't, innit? I get why you wouldn't. But
I want to because when I think of it, I think,
yeah,
damn, like this was a huge album. Like it's such a big moment.
Yeah.
But then when you go back and listen, it's kind of hard. When you hear songs, you're like, oh, that doesn't.
Yeah.
And talking of, let's go to our first question, and then we'll get to one of those songs. So yeah, one of the questions was, which songs aged the worst?
Oh, songs. Not even one. Okay. I don't mind going first on this one.
We'll probably say the first one. We'll probably say it the same.
Okay.
Go for it.
For me, number one has to be Lift Off.
Absolutely, the worst song on the album.
Yeah. That's what I hate about me and you sometimes. Because I literally have that written down like word for word. Like I literally say like, this is aged the worst. I say potentially the worst Asian song. Beyonce not utilized well. Versus not saying anything at all. Production's all right though, especially the bridge. That's what I thought. Like,
cool. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Her hook was so meaningless. I hated it so much. It was so insipid. Like, let's take it to the moon, take it to the stars.
Yeah.
What was that? Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. Just because it was Beyonce. It doesn't mean it was good.
And she just dropped 4 and you're using Beyonce like this. Don't disrespect her. Like, what the fuck? Anyways, yeah. I didn't
like Kanye in that song either. I thought he was doing that really nasally, whiny thing he does.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Where he like doesn't enunciate properly. Yeah. I think it was that line, you should know me by now.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. No, yeah, this song,
good. Worst song.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I like the J. Cole cover. He had a cover of this song, which was a lot better than this one. But yeah, this is. And there's so many fucking producers on this, man. Fucking hell. Pharrell Williams, Q-Tips on this, Kanye, Mike Dean, Don Jack. Yeah. What the fuck, bro? Like, it's all right. Like, this, yeah. Anyways, again, I don't think the production's where this lacks. One thing I will say, though, because we're going to touch on it, is that I'm really fucking surprised Kanye West isn't sole producing this thing. I don't fucking understand that at all. So this just shows me they were so focused on the moment rather than the music. Because if Kanye West sits down and produces this whole album, it doesn't sound like this, not in the slightest. And this is why, here I am, I'm going to say it. This is the worst production Kanye's been on his whole career. I know that sounds wild. Let's think about it though. Let's go through the gauntlet, sorry. College Dropout, yeah, it's better. Late Registration, come on, man. Graduation, come on, man. 808s, yes. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, yes. Yay, I don't give a fuck what you get said about yeah. Jesus, yes. Pablo, yes. Yay, yes. Kids See Ghosts, yes. It's all better than this. Like, I know people be like, what? But experimental. No, this is the worst. This is the worst one. Like, it doesn't sound like Kanye West was really bothered about producing on this record. And I get it. Sometimes you don't always want to, but I don't think it had that Kanye West touch. Like, oh my gosh.
There wasn't a consistency across the board at all. It wasn't like a unified sound. I will agree with that.
And I think Lift Off is a key indicator of that. And a lot of the songs have this as well. And I think this is probably what makes Watch the Throne. It's probably its biggest weakness, actually. Obviously, we spoke about it, but I think not even just because of the time, it just doesn't even make sense sometimes. Yeah. It doesn't even make sense. So yeah, I'll say that. So yeah, Lift Off. I mean, just so we can have some sort of variability, I'll give one other song that I don't think really aged well.
Don't do it. Don't say the same one I got written down.
I mean, there's a couple, but I'm going to put. Made in America. I don't like that song. I know I like the meaning behind it. But I don't like Frank's hook. Like, I just don't. Yeah. Maybe a bit. I won't say corny. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Like, I just. Yeah. I mean, back then I was like, oh my gosh, deep. It means a lot. But now I'm like, yeah.
I wanted to like it. I think I wanted to like it because of the kind of conversation it was having. But
exactly.
I think it was originally because of Frank's hook on it. It was originally called Sweet Baby Jesus.
Ah, right. I didn't know that.
Which I think is a terrible name for that song.
And even when he sings it, I'm like, it just makes you cringe a little bit. I don't know why. It's like, yeah, I'm not a fan at all. But the song obviously means a lot, and obviously it's become a whole festival, and I get that. But yeah, the song itself, I'm like, yeah, I can do without.
Yeah, I would have probably said that. A song I am not a fan of, I don't know how you feel about this, is one of the Deluxe songs, Ham.
Okay. Oh,
I didn't enjoy it.
There's a lot of those Deluxes I can miss, but we can get to that.
That was actually obviously the first single. Didn't make the original cut. Jay-Z was hesitant when this is a thing. You would have thought, Jay-Z, Kanye just meshed just perfectly, but not necessarily. I think they had a lot of disagreements early on in terms of like artistic direction and style.
And rollout as well.
And rollout, yeah, because again, Jay-Z didn't feel that this should be rolled out, and it was, and obviously the reception was not good. It was not good for this. But yeah, no, I didn't enjoy this. I think it was it was very like staccato, like bam bam with the 808s. No, I just didn't. I'm glad it didn't make the original cut. I'll say that.
I mean, let's go to our next question, right?
The outro is like 40 seconds with no vocals. Like,
wait. Anyways, okay, cool. So I'll read out the next one. So I'll give myself some time to breathe. So it would be, what Deluxe edition tracks would you swap with standard edition tracks?
There were 3 Deluxe editions, right?
There's one. Oh, but in different countries. So the Deluxe songs are
3 songs. There are 3 songs.
Yeah,
right?
Illest Motherfucker Alive, Ham. No, 4. Illest Motherfucker Alive, Ham, Prime Time to Joy. So what are your thoughts on the Deluxe songs just overall, John?
Wasn't a fan. I think the only one I liked was Prime Time. Okay. That's the only one I was swapped in.
Okay. Cool.
Which
what would you swap it for? Oh no, actually no, you're talking about the Deluxe here. Continue talking about
the Curtis Prime Time I enjoyed.
The Joy was the Curtis Mayfield one.
Yes, that. I mean, we'll get into the use of features /
samples.
The use of features apparently. I'd swap Prime Time for a number of songs. I liked it. I liked the kind of like really off key, like the sharp piano chords and notes in there. I felt like there was a lot going on. The more I listened to that song, the more I kind of enjoyed the production around, like whilst Jay-Z's rapping, there's like that going on. There's the beat switches, a couple of beat switches. The gunshots kind of throw you off a little bit as well. But I really like the kind of arrangement on that song.
Illest Motherfucker Alive, you've avoided it. What do you think of that?
It's probably the song I've listened to the least. Sorry. So I mean, I don't have a huge amount to say about that.
Fair enough. Okay, cool. So
you can bring us in with that one though, if you.
No, I mean, when I talk about the songs, I'll talk about what song would you swap out for Prime Time.
Well, I mean, I'd obviously lift off would have to leave. That's the first song that has to go.
No question about that. Okay, cool. When I first heard this a good 10 years ago, I thought Illest Motherfucker Alive and Ham were like top songs on this album. I can't think of any songs I hate more than these 2 songs. Like, I really hate them. Like, I really genuinely hate these songs, especially Illest Motherfucker Alive. I get it if this was a vinyl. I don't know if it was a vinyl.
Is this the one with this is why I'm confused. This one with the minute silence?
More like a 2.5
Yeah, okay, silence. That's why I didn't have something to say. I was confused about that.
Yeah. It got, like, if it was a vinyl, and I get it's like bonus tracks, but when on fucking Spotify, get rid of it. Like, I hate it. I really hate it. Like, I really hate it. Even when you get to the song, it's shit as hell. I don't know why. I used to love that song. Like, even in Kanye's verse, it's like he's like drunk off like the finest wine in France in his chateau. Like, like, what the hell? He's not even saying words. Like, this song is so bad. This song is so fucking bad. I'm so happy this was the Deluxe. Like, because things with Deluxe, obviously I have a lot more lenience because it's Deluxe, right? But this, I'm so happy this didn't touch the album. The song is so shit. Ham, shit as well. Like, I think it's the hype of the song and the hard production, and it kind of like, at the bridge it kind of like becomes but the song itself is not good. Maybe the production you could have done more with that, fair enough, but overall the song, no, sorry. Prime Time and The Joy, I like these a lot more. I think the song I'm going to pick is I actually like The Joy. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm sorry. I don't get the Curtis Mayfield song feature. I fully get you on that one, but I really like that song actually. Obviously, yeah, I'm swapping out Lift Off every day of the week. So yeah, that'll be the one I pick.
Cool. That's fair.
Cool. Is there any other topics you wanna talk before we go to other questions? Or you got all your
well, I mean, we've talked about it. The features thing. We need to speak about this.
Yeah, I mean, we have Otis Redding as a feature. We have Curtis Mayfield as a feature. I'm surprised they even fucking have Nina Simone as a feature at this rate.
They should have. They should have. There's a sample of James Brown on "Gotta Have It" as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, damn. Like, is it true that because they sampled such a large section of Curtis Mayfield, they have to include him as a feature?
I don't know how that works, but I can see that being the case.
Because what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't get
and
it.
in fact, to name the song after him as well, which suggests to me, like, unless this is like a tribute song, then
potentially, innit? Who knows? It could be.
It could be. Then I mean, yeah.
It is weird as fuck, though. It is weird as fuck. I'm not gonna
like
lie
it absolutely dominates. There's 35 seconds before Jay-Z speaks, before anyone speaks other than Curtis on the song. And given the song is not, how long is the song? Okay, it's under 3 minutes.
What, The Joy? The Curtis Mayfield one?
Otis.
Oh, Otis, yeah.
Otis,
okay,
the first, and the first like 35 seconds, no one is rapping.
Oh yeah, no, you're fair, yeah.
And I think it's true. I've seen it kind of talked about before that like this song kind of suffers from like the Diddy-esque like choosing samples that are bigger than the song, or like choosing samples that like dominate. And I think it's so true. It's really true. Like you can't shy away from it. Like it's just they haven't chopped it up enough. They haven't done enough creatively with the song with the samples. To justify it. I don't think.
I mean, no, I'm fully with you on that one. And again, is any songs I can fully admit I just used to love but really again hate? Otis is fucking grating to the ears. That 4-bar loop, no, it's like a 2-bar loop of the Otis sample throughout the whole song. Oh my god, it gets tiring after a while. I'm not gonna lie, like it's actually just like, please have something else, please. And because Otis was being played so much as well, you just have that that's stuck in your ear just the whole time, the whole song. And you know what's actually, again, this is why I'm saying that Kanye should have had more of a hands on this, because I actually think their back and forth was so fucking sick. I actually do like their verses on this. Like that's me, like this, like.
Was it luxury rap? The Hermes of verses, sophisticated ignorance. I write my curses in cursive.
Banger, like they're going off. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're both going off. Like. But like, yeah, the sampling is just, I don't really fucking get it. I don't get it at all. But yeah, I think as I've aged, I think as I've known more production chops and known what good production or the extent of good production, I look at this and like, no, come on, fucking Kanye West did this. Kanye West, like, you know what I mean? So some of these British producers could do way better than this, mate. Come on. So, and again, too many cooks in the kitchen with this one. You got a guy called Anthony Kilhofer, Hit Boy, Mike Dean, and Kanye West. Like, you're telling, like, no, that's Niggas in Paris. Sorry, my bad. It's Anthony Kilhofer, I was right. So it's like, I mean, what the hell? Like, what the hell, bro? Like, it's just a 2-bar loop. You know what it is? I'm so unsure of myself. I'm gonna double check this because there surely can't be 4 people in this fucking song.
I don't. Oh no,
it's just Kanye. It's just Kanye. Sorry, my bad. It's just Kanye. The other one was him.
So this is Kanye.
Yeah,
this
is lazy, man. Like, come on, Kanye can do way better than this. This is lazy as hell. So yeah,
when you're working with a sample that is going to cost.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how expensive that sample is. But anyway, like when you're working with this, you've got to do more.
Yeah, 100%.
Or just leave it alone.
And the thing is, I get it. Like, after my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, you're probably a bit tired. Like, you know what? I'm tired. I get it. But Kanye West production, he's one of the best producers of all time. Like, there's no denying that. So, like, you tell me this is one of the greatest producers and he's been making this. Like, no, sorry. But, yeah, whatever.
Let's get to one of our questions.
Yeah.
So we have here best treadmill song. give you time to think about this. Best treadmill song, best song for driving, and then also the most memorable verse.
Okay. I think I got this. I think it's pretty straightforward. Best treadmill song. So funny enough, Ham used to be on my running playlist when I first went to uni. When I was just jogging around campus. So I used to actually, because I think the drop used to really get me going. But now as I've grown older and I've learned the mechanisms, of exercising on adrenaline is actually probably the worst way to exercise. It's like, because you need to be in a calm, steady state. Like, don't get me wrong, you could do HIIT, like when you do HIIT and all of that, your blood is pumping, but you don't need to be running, especially long distance running on adrenaline, because you're just gonna burn out like fucking one mile in. You need to be calm and steady throughout the whole time. That's a tip for you guys. So I think at that time, it was Ham for that one. I think now I would probably say best treadmill song. The thing is, that's the thing. I'm more like steady. So I'd probably put... I'd probably put Welcome to the Jungle for that. Best song for driving. Okay, when I'm driving, I like to vibes out in it and just like let the music zone out. So I'll probably say New Day. Fuck the sampling on that as well. Let's talk about that. Fuck the sampling on that. Again, this song is way bigger. The sample's way bigger than the song. Our most memorable verse, now this is where it gets hard, but I will say it has to be Jay-Z's verse, either on Welcome to the Jungle or Who Gonna Stop Me? Like, it's one of those two. I mean, you know what? Actually, yeah, Welcome to the Jungle, I'll say, because I hope someone checked on him after this verse. Like, this guy he's a man crying out for help. He's literally saying, paralyzed by the pain, I can barely move, my nephew gone, my heart is torn. Sometimes I look to the sky, ask why I was born. And my faith in God, every day is hard, every night is worse. That's why I pray so hard. Like, this guy he's hurt. Like, he's really hurt. There's one more thing I'll touch on. I don't know if you agree, and I'll ask this question before you go into your answer. But to me, it feels like when I listen to a lot of these verses, it feels like the 444 Jay-Z is trying to scream out. It's trying to come out really hard. But like, he doesn't know how to let go of Jay-Z just yet. So it's kind of it's like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Like, it shows its face in like certain songs like this and Murder to Excellence. But then it's like, okay, back to me telling you guys I'm the richest rapper to ever do this. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, no, we can get on to New Day after this question. But best treadmill song? I went back through the album again to think about this question. For me, I enjoy the kind of like the dubsteppy chorus from Mr. Hudson on Why I Love You. Okay. So I could imagine like getting to the end of like a 5, or if I'm feeling lucky, 10K, and kind of pop in Why I Love You on. Okay, fair. Yeah. Are you a fan of that song?
No.
You're not?
No. It's the way it ends is annoying as well. I get Mr. Hudson was the thing back in the day, so
2009 to like 2011. That's him.
But again, it feels like another cross genre reach, especially into like the is it EDM kind of scene. It kind of I don't know what it kind of feels like a reason to that. I don't really care for it. It's not horrible, but I don't care for it. What's the other question? Best driving song. I mean, do you drive, John?
You're just gonna out me like that, are we?
So
ouch.
I mean, you can start best driving song. I mean, Passages.
they can as well. Best song. I don't know. I mean, No Church in the Wild feels like it'd be great to drive to.
Yeah, fair. That's a good one.
Yeah. And best beat.
Most
not best beat. Sorry, best verse. Possibly the opening verse on that from Jay-Z, or his verse on Who Gonna Stop Me.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
You said you want to talk about New Day a little bit.
Let's do it. I completely agree. I hadn't written in my notes, but my exact thoughts listening to that song were, this is how many years too early? 5 years? 6 years too early, right? 2017, 444.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was 6 years before, but like you can feel that coming out there. Like First of all, talk about the sample. I enjoyed the Nina Simone sample in this, actually.
Okay.
Because I feel like there was enough done with it.
Okay, yeah, fair.
I feel like there's enough done with it, and obviously shout out RZA. Very different type of production to what he's used to doing, I think, in terms of if you listen 100%. To like Wu-Tang stuff, like this is worlds apart, but nicely done. Very like kind of low, slow kind of synthy stuff. I enjoyed that. But yeah, all the kind of talks of like the generational wealth, the two of them kind of these, you know, it's funny thinking of Kanye at that point, but like thinking of himself as like an old head, right? Like look, talking from beyond the grave, thinking about their legacy, thinking about, you know, what life their kids will have. There are a few kind of quotes in there. It was, sorry, Junior, I already ruined you. You weren't even alive from the paparazzi pursuing you. Son, sins of the father make you 10 times harder. It took me 26 years to find my path. My only task is to cut the time in half.
I think, yeah, I mean,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the most well-polished songs on the entire record. For sure. I mean, yeah, like that's the thing. If the album was more like this, and I don't even mean in terms of subject matter, because I'm not saying you need some sort of conscious back and forth between Jay-Z and Kanye West, but just focused. Like, you know, they both seem to know what the fucking assignment is. Do you know what I mean? And they just go for it. Like, fucking, yeah, like, this is probably one of Kanye's best verses on this album, because I feel like for the majority of it is the Jay-Z show, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, this way, yeah. Like, it's so weird, obviously, listening back to this song. I know people probably quoted it so much since here. But obviously, between the two of them, there's like, what, 7 kids? Is that true? Yeah, 7 kids. Obviously, Kanye West was dating Amber Rose at the time. He left her for Kim Kardashian. Lives in LA. A lot of the things he's talking about that he, you know, didn't want to happen, you know, kind of went the opposite way. Kind of interesting looking back. It's like, damn, I wonder even if he listens to the songs and thinks, damn, how much has changed in 10 years, right? Like, fucking hell. But yeah, it's not bad. Like, it's not, I won't say awful, innit? But like, again, I feel like, especially Nina Simone, like, it's one of her biggest songs, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, but I get you, it's not awful. It's not as overbearing as like an Otis or the Curtis Mayfield sample. So yeah, fair enough. What was I going to say?
It's also funny because they're kind of both talking about their sons, and
then
they go on to have daughters.
Yeah, misogynistic as fuck, isn't it?
I know, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, well, you were asking for it.
Yeah, like, I mean, literally, I think Jay-Z had a kid like literally like a year later or something like that, like right after. So yeah, I think people thought Beyonce was pregnant at this time. That's how close it was. Fucking hell. So actually, one song.
Murder to Excellence. Did you want to talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about this one. This is probably the best Swiss Beats production in a long time, especially this time, because I don't like Swiss Beats. I'm not gonna lie, don't like him. But sometimes he just plucks out something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, actually, I see why people pay you money. Like, just when he's not featured on the song, he's actually okay. Like, you can actually deal with him. Just stick to the beats. Do you know what I mean? So no, shout out to, like, this song is a banger. This song is so good. Like, again, like, this is what I'm talking about, right? This is my shit. Do you know what I mean? It's all black. I love us. I love us, Jay. I love that. Like, the beat switch as well. Talking about, like, what's called 314 soldiers died in Iraq, 509 in Chicago. Like, and the beat as well. Like, it just seems, again, it seems like there is a mesh there. It seems like,
you think I didn't notice, but I did. You almost said Iraq.
I know. I'm not American, am I? Gosh. But yeah, like, I just feel like the chemistry is so good on this one. So good. The topic is so good. Like, even him, Kanye singing, I don't mind it. You know, I think it kind of adds to the despair of his verses, you know? Black and black murder again. Like, kind of feels like, oh, you know what I mean? I like that.
Go on.
You know what I mean? Stop it.
I wish I had a little glass breaking sound.
No, stop it. I ain't got your vocals, man. But like, yeah, so I really like this. And then obviously Jay-Z just goes off on that fucking second part of that song. Like, that's the thing with these beat switches. Jay-Z just decides, level 2, and he does it every fucking time. Every time. Yeah, no, probably like it.
Some really like touching bars from Kanye. You know, when he's like, thinking back to Chicago, he's like, I'm from the murder capital, where they murder for capital. Heard about at least 3 killings this afternoon. Looking at the news, like, damn, I was just with him at school. Yeah.
Chicago's really like that. Obviously, Chief Keef is just coming around the corner, so it's like, it's just like, okay, yeah, like, this is what pisses me off about this record, right? It's like 1 minute they want to be like, what's 50 grand to Jay-Z? Another minute it's like, let's talk about the killings of our people. It's like, okay, what is it? What kind of thematic landscape is this album on? Do you know what I mean? Because it's not like, some of these songs are good, but it's like, why is this right next to Who's Gonna Stop Me? Right after Who's Gonna Stop Me? Like, don't feel that makes sense sonically, to be honest, but yeah.
I guess it's just showing the range, like, that they can do both, and I do get that. But yeah, in terms of like track listing, it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, no, for sure. Actually, so let's go on to the last question, right? And I'll take this one first, I don't mind. How has the album aged like bread when the majority of the album has marinated like a fine Merlot from '06? And if you guys have seen on Twitter, John had a fucking banger response to this, I'm not gonna lie. But he said something like, fucking hell, Merlot had a bad like year in '06 actually.
It was an inconsistent year, a bit like the album. But
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I was fucking fire, I can't lie. But so here's how I feel like the album has aged like bread. I think I've explained it again. To me, in my head, again, to me, for most people my age or around my age, I think it was like a 10 out of 10 when it dropped. It was like, this is one of the best albums. So it went from like a damn near perfect album. Now when I look at it now, it's like, oh, this is good. But this is definitely not perfect. This is definitely not like, blowing everything out of the water the way I thought it did. So I don't mean it's going from like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever to this is completely shit. That'd be a lie. It's completely a lie. I'm not saying that. I'm saying replay value in terms of the sound, it's just not this of its decade in a bad way. 1. And 2, yeah, like I already said, like some of the songs just don't hit the same. When you look back, it's like, actually, no, this could have been done a lot better than what it has. So when I say that, it's like, yeah, like, I mean, it's not in anyone's decade list. I mean, that's for a reason, like, and especially, and the thing is, we're talking from a relatively young standpoint. I know people who were our age back then could not fucking stand this shit. Anyone in their 30s when this dropped, I knew could not stand this shit. There's no way they could. They would be fucking jarred as shit, man. Because the thing is, they actually had some sort of music taste and they've listened to music and like, what the hell is this? That's why when it came to this album, the younger people loved it way more than older people, if you look back. So I think there's something to that. So yeah,
that makes sense. I hadn't thought about it that way. Yeah. Yeah, I'd kind of agree. I'd say also on the Merlot talk, like that kind of sums it up for me. Like there is a great deal of inconsistency there. We've talked about production. That's probably one of the biggest letdowns in terms of the songs that are bad. They're pretty bad, and a lot of it's production. And I think there are moments of greatness for sure. There are moments of really good songs. The Swiss Beats one, like their lyrics, you can't take anything away from the songs where they go in. They really go in, and they don't miss there. But I think just inconsistency is probably the word. They're like the bonus tracks, with the exception of Prime Time, are dreadful. And I think, and you can't just discount them as like bonus tracks because you've gone to the effort of releasing a deluxe version, so you obviously thought they were good enough for people to hear.
Okay, fair.
And they're not. So they weren't fit for purpose.
Fair enough. Okay.
Okay. But yeah. Good question.
I mean, cool. I mean, I don't have much else to say actually about this. Obviously, I know it's one of those albums like everyone's very like familiar with it. But I'll say another example of like no one knows what the fuck's going on, or this is more. I feel like even for them, like this is more at the moment than anything else. That's my bitch. Like what the fuck is this? Like, bro, like come on. Like don't get me wrong. There's some lines in here like I like when Jay-Z's again. I feel like Jay-Z knew the assignment more than Kanye. For sure. When he's talking about, why all the pretty icons always white, like he's saying some things that, these are forward. But the hook by this woman, right?
LaRue.
Is it LaRue?
It's LaRue.
Shit, it's LaRue.
It's LaRue and Bon Iver, and you would not think that from listening to it.
Damn. again,
it's Justin Vernon from Bon Iver, but yeah, the white band,
and and the thing is with this, right? It's like, what the fuck does this hook got to do with the song?
Is it like I'm yearning a little dab of the potion? That's what Justin Vernon is singing. Yeah.
What the hell? Like,
it's very trancey.
Sorry, Eddie Jackson in the hook. Yeah, it says Eddie Jackson. Yeah, I've been waiting for a long, long time just to get off and throw my hands up high and live my life. Just to get off and throw my hands up high. What's this got to do with, like, that's my bitch? Like, there's no consistency here, bro. Like, there's just, I don't know what's going on here. Like, literally. And the fact that he just dropped Watch the Throne throughout the album, like, that means anything to anyone else apart from those two. It's like, oh, whatever. But yeah, I feel like Jay-Z definitely saves the song, like, or does his best for sure. But again, it just feels like another runoff of, like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And that's the problem. It's hard to look at this album and not think of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and think, damn, you don't just try to recreate that, but with both of you guys. And that was never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? That's its own moment. So, yeah.
But this was like, I feel like, so you said Ellie Jackson, like LaRue, this was probably like a year and a half after that song, was it In for the Kill, came out.
Banger.
That was a banger, but that stayed around for a while, so it's an interesting choice.
Oh yeah, Justin Vernon is obviously, and he does the hook. Yeah,
the front.
No, that's it's not. No, it's Charlie Brown's alias, isn't it?
Who?
Charlie Wilson. Oh no, it's Bon Iver. Sorry.
Yeah.
No. I thought it was Charlie Wilson. My bad.
Yeah.
It does sound like him though, but
it doesn't sound like It doesn't sound like Justin Vernon at all. But
yeah,
it's a confusing one. There's like Q-Tip production on here as well.
Yeah, I don't fucking get it.
It's weird. I can't say I disliked it, but it was weird.
It's funny. I can't lie. It is funny. Like, there's a lot of lines that I'm like, no, it's actually really funny. But it's just like, what's actually going on here?
It's kind of trancey the way it like draws you in, because it's a strange sound. But
the production is actually kind of nice. I can't lie. But I would not expect it from Q-Tip.
Yeah.
At all. But yeah, I mean, that's really it, really. I feel like that's the main thing. I feel like the production just wasn't curated for these two. Which is the big. I feel like, again, I feel like a lot of these hook verses, I can do stuff with them. Like, I'm like, yeah, I can actually put these together and make something from them. But yeah, that's it really from me. You got any other comments?
No, I think we've kind of summed it up. I think having these questions has been good as well, though.
Yeah.
We'll probably do that a little bit more in future.
Yeah, for sure.
Take in some thoughts and then, be interactive. We're a collective, as we say every week.
Of course. Should the Throne 2 happen, John? Should it happen?
I don't think it will, and I don't necessarily think we need it. I'd rather just some more music from Kanye. Yeah, okay. I don't want it necessarily.
I think anyone who's wanting this or anticipating this is not thinking it through. It's like, you're not gonna get Jay-Z and Kanye back in 2011. Like, they are completely different people. They don't even seem to be on the same sonic landscape within hip-hop. Like, what the fuck do you think it's going to sound like? You think they're just going to go back in the studio and be like, yay, we're completely on the same page again? Like, they're not. Like, even if they're friends now, they're completely different artists.
Like, remember the creative differences they were having when, like, this was 2011. Yeah. Like, fast forward a decade, Jay-Z's not putting up with this shit. Jay-Z's not being held hostage in the Mercedes-Benz stadium finishing his verses. It's not happening. He's not doing it. He's like, no, about
that as well. He's not doing it.
That won't fly.
Even though you'd like to think Kanye would humble himself and not do that shit, but you never know with him. Like,
nope.
Because the thing is, Kanye's status is like probably bigger than Jay's right now, if I'm being honest. Maybe not monetary wise, but in terms of like the name. So it's like, what would it even sound like? It would be seriously inconsistent. Like, seriously inconsistent. I don't think it would sound good at all. I don't know how. I mean, this is just. I think people are just assuming Kanye will just revert back to old Kanye under Jay-Z. I just don't think that's gonna happen. I think the Eagles are too big on both sides.
I don't think they want it either.
I don't think they want it either.
No.
Like, if they drop a couple songs with if they're featured in each other's albums, yeah, cool. Like, of course. But a whole album of them two, like, they're two different people now. Sorry, I don't want it either. I just don't think it'll be what people want. Like, please make it through. It's not gonna be good.
Cool. That kind of summarizes our review of the album. Obviously, as always, you can find us on whatever streaming service you're listening to now. You can find us on all of the rest of them as well: Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcast. We're the same on all of them. The Vinyl Collective. You can find us on Twitter, as you said earlier, TVC Pod, and on Instagram at the Vinyl Collective Pod. And as ever, the best playlist around, the one, the only.
Okay.
Now and Then playlist. So obviously every week we pick one song that is kind of been released in the last year or so, and then also a throwback track. So yeah, I'm going to hit us off. So my throwback track is Wish I Didn't Miss You by Angie Stone.
Okay.
And my now song is, it's going to be Nas, Death Row East.
Oh, good song. Yeah. Okay, so my now song. Ooh, have I put Dream in Colour on there?
About to find out.
Please check that for me. John handles the playlist, guys. I want to put Dream in Colour. I just want to see if it's there.
It is there.
Damn. Okay. Fuck. Okay. Eesh, okay. No, that's fine. It's fine. My Ben song. That's not my Ben song. Can't Tell Me Nothing by Kanye West. Let's keep on top of it.
Cool.
Banger. Absolute banger. My now song will be World War II by Unknown T.
Cool.
Check them out. That's it, really. Yeah, check us out next week. We'll do a bit of a poll. We'll see what we're covering next week. We'll see. We've been ignoring our emails in a metaphorical sense with what the people want, but we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.